Now you can kind of see my RCI meter. Notice how my industrials and commercial and residential are kind of moving up and down. Earlier I uploaded some videos in different sections on my rooftop collapsing, going with commercial. As you can see, I got the fire station in a residential now. Remember when I did the commercial zones with the fire station, the train station, they collapsed all the rooftops. So basically, now this is where I'm at. First, I want to start by saying a lot of this game, in my view, is force of habit. Meaning, I used to contact Nintendo all the time. That was way before game FAQs, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Back then, 30 years ago, we didn't even have the internet then. So we had to kind of learn on our own and from contacting Nintendo. And I still got the letters somewhere, what Nintendo said to do back then about having all your industrial zones off to the side so that the pollution can blow away. And back then I thought it was kind of cool to knock down the industrial zones, thinking if I knock them down to 2 squares instead of 3, maybe that would reduce the pollution. I was wrong about that because they say zone stacking does not affect any of this. Meaning, when you collapse this, no matter how many squares, you can have your industrial zone down to 1 square and it would still give off as much as a full one. Basically, you can crush out your zones all you want, but it still produces the same amount of pollution as it normally would anyway. So basically that's kind of like a waste of time. But on the other hand, it gives you a little more room, I guess. And another thing I learned from CM is, notice my I4s here. This one is a high, this one's like a mid. And before I used to let them go up to high instead of mid, thinking, those would probably give me the best land value or the best population possible. But that was before I found out that no matter what size these industrials are, they're the same amount of population, which is like what, 90 or 60 or something like that. It goes into like a certain amount, like 360, then it goes to about 420, goes up about 60 or 50 or something. Anyway, that's kind of why I learned to keep them up like this. That leaving up like this, the mids and the highs, makes no difference now because there's the same amount of population in them. It may not seem like it may not look like it, but that's what I found out from watching. Okay, you see these? They see I high, I low, I high, I low. Now I realize, hey, it doesn't matter if they're all highs or lows. They still have the same amount of population that that you can get in them. That's what I found out recently. So it helps to learn new stuff as you play along. And now my city is all cockeyed because right now I have no idea what to build next because my RCI bars are all over the place. They used to stay high, now they're getting kind of itchy or edgy. See the C is about a third up high, and the I is about almost down at the very bottom, meaning that would explain why this one is still here. Hasn't even been built yet. Sometimes, I can get highs and lows and mids, upper, high, mid, high. I get all of that. C, high, upper, mid, lows. look right here. This is an example of what I commented on CM's video about how sometimes this happens. You know, I get a low zone and then all of a sudden it acts like it doesn't get any power. I don't know if that depends on the land value or what, but that's the problem I've been noticing, you know, for the last 30 years since I've been playing this game. A lot of times, you know, you get like these weird zone looking things that don't want to grow up. They just want to just keep flickering like they don't have power or not. Like I said, I think my biggest problem is all these industrial zones because I like to build them. And that's another thing too, I will admit. My biggest problem too is I'm trying to make my citizens happy. I like to have, you know, try to eliminate as much of those problems that I can. By the time I get to about 500,000, my land is full to the point where I can't even squeeze anything in it anymore, and my unemployment rate is about 5 to 7%. If you look at my voice rating right now, there's no unemployment. Mostly I have these two problems. The 24, like housing costs is always my number one, and then my number two is pollution. Those are my biggest two problems, I will admit. Every time I play this game, it's either housing costs is number one or it's pollution that's number one. And then the other one is always second. So that's one thing I've been noticing about how I build these cities is that I pretty much build my city, you know, like this, donut blocks. Back in the day I used to go donut block, donut block, donut block, donut block, and then gift, gift, gift. And when I was building those back in the day, I had to go every other one with a gift, like gift here, because otherwise this is a donut block. If I put a gift here, and then what happens is this one and this one, like the one right above and the one right below the gift, are always high, and everything else around it, like these two, the one in the corner and the one in this corner would always be really low. But for some reason only this one and then this one would be the high ones, if that makes any sense. That's how I learned, you know, right away not to go gift, 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 because what would happen is high, and all of these would not grow with the gift inside of it. So that was learn number one from that mistake. That's how I learned from that. Otherwise, you know, it makes it happen. And then sometimes too, I can get like here a high, and then these were kind of highs, and then they went down to mids and lows. See, C2 mid, low, mid, low, mid, low, mid, low, high, mid. That's another one of my factors. So right now, just for the heck of it, we'll put the train station there, and then watch what happens. All my other rooftops have a tendency to revert all the time, meaning these two can go back to just C5 highs, and then this would be a rooftop, and then this, instead of this one here, then it will be moved over here. As you can see, it's starting to develop by this police department headquarters right here. These used to be straight up and down. Those two would look just like this. Now they're kind of moving around. See, ever since I put down that airport, now these by the casino here are moving. And this is from, like I said, after my collapsing, putting like the fire department here with commercial zones around it. You can see that in video 3. Now look at it. It's got a fire department is around housing, and look at the housing now. They're unaffected from being commercial zones. See, it's slowly developing here again too, around my casino, and here. when I look at Gothic Sarah's video, that person's got land 61 and rooftops, you know, like this would be the corner of 61. That person's got commercial rooftops after rooftops and rooftops. And you know how many casinos are in that mess? 2. So I don't know how the hell they pull that one off, but that would be something that's to the point where I'd like to get at, is basically what I'm saying. See, now they're all collapsing around my fire department here. Probably because if you look at the meter, the C is still kind of the same and the I is under, but the R one is high. So that almost makes me wonder, when that red bar on R right now is not moving, does that mean I have enough residential zones but not enough commercial and industrial? Is that how that works? It must be, because I don't understand any of that concept otherwise without thinking that. And then once again, this stuff here is unaffected, but it's slowly affecting other parts of the city. See, about 5 seconds ago, those were highs. Now you can see the video game decided to make them rooftops again. So yeah, basically that's one of the problems I've been having too in my cities, is unstable rooftops. You know, they stay and then they collapse, like this again too. It's like a back and forth effect. So sometimes, you know, it might be luck, sometimes it might just be depending on your RCI meter. So that's pretty much all I have right now in this video, but this is to a point where I'm to the point again where I don't know what I need more of, because as you can see, it's slowly beginning all over again, because I probably have enough residential but not enough commercial or industrial, is why it makes it happen. So again, this is all something new I need to learn from what Nintendo said. And before we go, got me thinking too about, you know, find your city center. Well, if I look at here, I always have mine kind of all around, you know, because right now here the land value is so low, that's why it's all mids there. But if you look in here, you know, like right here is big red. That's the max right in here. Right here is the max right in there. And then if you look at something else, like let's say totals, notice I have 0 schools and 0 hospitals right now. So yeah, I learned from that, destroying all of those. So yeah, a lot of this stuff when I was growing up, I had no idea what they meant. I just played it for fun. So I don't even know what any of this means. But you can kind of see it here, all my problems. And then obviously you know where my land value max is, and then you got your police and fire radius, and these are around all 4 corners except for the far right. And then you got your commercial zones around kind of here and there, and then you got residential zones here and there too. So yeah, basically it's just all kind of learning. And then there's all 3 of them. So I just thought I'd show, well, what my maps and land value indicate, if that helps figure out what my problems are. Well, like I said before, I will admit a lot of this is just force of habit. I think it looks kind of cool to have my industrial zones knocked down. I always thought that would reduce pollution. And another small thing, notice my airport is 1 square. That's because I always like to crash it and burn it down to its 1 square so that I have plenty of room to work with. But obviously that doesn't really do me any good, because right now I can't even keep my rooftops from collapsing. So once I get my rooftops stable, then I can build a city. So